The galaxy had known no terror greater than the predators. An ancient race, they were larger, faster, and more technologically advanced than most species could ever dream. For centuries they had ravaged the stars, bending entire civilizations to their will, feeding on the fear of weaker species. To them, the universe was a hunting ground, each planet merely a new opportunity for dominance. The predators lived by a simple creed. The strong thrived, and the weak existed only to be consumed. The predators thrived on the chaos they spread, their power unmatched, their weapons were brutal, their strategies direct. Over time, they had annihilated species thought to be invincible, their fleets carving through defenses like a hot blade through soft flesh. They relished their role as apex hunters, unchallenged in their reign of terror. For centuries they encountered no species worthy of fear. None posed a threat to their superiority. Reports filtered in of a new species emerging in a distant, unremarkable corner of the galaxy. Humans. They were small, primitive, barely out of their star system, and untested in the ways of intergalactic warfare. The predators hardly paid attention at first. To them, humans were another minor nuisance, another weakling race to be added to their growing collection of conquests. But something about the whispers surrounding humanity intrigued them. A species that rose too fast, that adapted quickly, that never seemed to back down. So the predators decided humans would be their next hunt. Word spread among the predator fleet. Humans would be an easy target, a short-lived thrill, barely worth the effort, but enjoyable nonetheless. Their technology was laughably inferior, their fleets a ragtag assembly of ships. There would be no challenge here, just a clean victory to be added to the predators' growing list. One predator commander, a veteran of countless wars and known for his brutal efficiency, volunteered to lead the hunt. He was confident that humanity would fall quickly, another conquest in a long line of easy victories. He saw no need for caution. What could these humans possibly do against them? As the fleet moved toward human space, their arrogance grew. They discussed the hunt as if it were already over, certain that humans would crumble before them as all others had. The Predator commander dismissed any suggestion that humans might present a threat. He mocked the idea that such a young species could pose any serious resistance. "They're barely more than animals," he scoffed to his officers. "This won't take long." Humanity, however, was not as oblivious as the predators assumed. The human leaders had known for some time that they were being watched, that a dangerous predatory force was approaching their borders. They had received reports from other species who had narrowly escaped extinction at the hands of the predators. And while humans lacked the raw strength or technological prowess of their enemy, they had something else: resilience and ingenuity. In secret, the humans had been preparing. They studied their enemy closely, analyzing every scrap of information they could gather. They learned the patterns, the weaknesses, the overconfidence of the predators. They built defenses and designed strategies not to face their enemy head-on, but to exploit that very arrogance. Humanity knew they could not match the predators in brute strength or firepower, but they had no intention of playing by the predators' rules. Instead, they would fight on their own terms. The predator fleet entered human space, weapons at the ready, expecting immediate capitulation. To their surprise, the humans did not flee in panic, nor did they scramble for peace. The human response was oddly calm, almost unnervingly so. To the predators, this was a sign of weakness, of fear. They assumed the humans had no idea what was coming. In reality, the humans had prepared for this exact moment. Their fleets, though smaller and seemingly weaker, were strategically positioned. They had laid traps, anticipating every move of their enemy. As the predator ships moved deeper into human territory, their confidence only grew. They saw nothing to suggest a challenge ahead. The calmness of the humans' calm was interpreted as fatal ignorance, another sign that this battle would be quick and decisive. But beneath that calm exterior, the humans were poised, waiting. They knew their enemy well. They had studied their tactics and counted on the fact that the predators would underestimate them. The stage was set for the confrontation, and while the predators believed they were the hunters, it was humanity that had truly laid the trap. The moment of battle approached, the tension thickening as the predator fleet prepared for what they believed would be an easy victory. The human fleet, appearing fragile and underwhelming, waited in formation. And the predators, blinded by their own arrogance, had no idea what awaited them in the conflict to come. The predator fleet stormed forward, their ships a swarm of death and destruction armed with firepower beyond human comprehension. They expected a quick victory. Human defences, scattered, uncoordinated, fragile, seemed no match for their relentless advance. Colony outposts, transport vessels, even the occasional battle cruiser, all crumbled under the weight of their sheer might. Explosions echoed through space as they closed in, firing with merciless precision. To them, humanity was just another species to conquer, another footnote in their long history of dominance. Yet something was wrong. The humans were retreating, but not in the panicked frenzy they had seen in so many others. Their ships were slipping away, evasive and elusive. Predator fire was missing its mark more than it should have. Targeting systems recalibrated over and over. But the results didn't change. The human ships, though slower and smaller, danced just out of reach. The Predator commander clenched his fists as frustration set in. This battle should have been over by now. As the initial assault pressed forward, cracks appeared in what had seemed like an impenetrable Predator advance. The humans weren't running, they were repositioning. Suddenly, the human counterattack began. It wasn't the desperate brute force resistance the predators were used to. It was calculated, precise. Human ships struck with stealth, hitting the predator fleet from angles they hadn't anticipated. Decoy signals popped up across their radar, and the predator fleet found itself chasing shadows. What had begun as a crushing assault turned into a nightmare of confusion. Predator ships were caught off guard, struggling to find the real targets amidst the decoys. Ground forces, expecting a slaughter, found themselves ambushed in tight corridors and urban sprawls. Human units hit fast, then vanished into the labyrinth of their cities, using terrain to their advantage. The predators were used to ruling through fear, an overwhelming show of force that typically sent their enemies into chaos. But these humans fought differently. Their movements were methodical, designed to sow confusion rather than simply resist. And it worked. The Predator commander seethed. His fleet had never faced such resistance from a supposedly inferior species. Even more infuriating was the humans' ability to strike critical points. Predator warships, while formidable, were not invincible, and the humans had learned exactly where to hit. Precision strikes disabled key systems. Communication arrays went dark. Engines sputtered to a halt. Entire sections of their mighty ships were cut off, floating dead in space. This was no ordinary prey. The predator forces regrouped, expecting a fierce pushback from the humans. But what came next was something even more devastating. The humans, now in full coordination, launched an assault that shattered the predator fleet's morale. With expert timing, they deployed EMPs that scrambled predator systems across multiple ships, leaving entire sections of their fleet blind and vulnerable. Predator ships drifted, powerless, as human forces tore through them with surgical precision. The massive technological advantage the predators had always relied on was slipping away. As the fleet reeled from the EMP hits, human cyber warfare teams went to work. They hacked into predator systems, sabotaging internal communications, rerouting targeting systems, and planting false commands. Predator commanders found themselves issuing orders that never reached their troops, while others received contradictory messages that threw them into chaos. The Predator fleet was slowly but surely unravelling. The commander watched in disbelief as his mighty warships, some of which had never seen defeat, were picked apart like prey. Human ships darted in and out, attacking in small, deadly bursts. The Predator fleet, built for frontal assaults and overwhelming power, struggled against the nimble human manoeuvres, and for the first time in generations, they were on the defensive. He paced the bridge of his flagship, rage bubbling beneath the surface. How could this be happening? How could a species so small, so weak, be turning the tide? His claws dug into the metal of the console as the reports came flooding in. Another cruiser disabled. Another ship's engines dead in the water. Panic rippled through the ranks. The commander's eyes narrowed as he pieced it together. The humans had studied them. This wasn't the act of a species fighting for survival. This was something else, something planned. The humans had learned from their past conquests, adapted to their tactics, and now they were using the Predator's own strategies against them. It was a revelation that sent a chill through him. This battle wasn't a mere defense. It was a trap. They had underestimated the humans, and now they were paying the price. The Predators were no longer hunters. They were the hunted. The fleet was crumbling, ships falling one by one. The humans didn't push forward in desperation. They moved with deadly intent. Their strategy was clear: dismantle the Predators piece by piece. With each ship that fell, the balance of power shifted further. The Predator fleet, once unstoppable, was being torn apart by a species they had barely considered a threat. The commander's gaze hardened as he watched his forces falter. He had to admit the truth. These humans, these insignificant creatures, were not like the others. They had evolved beyond fear, beyond submission, and now they were winning. The realization spread through the Predator ranks. They were losing. Whispers of panic grew louder as ships went dark and escape pods ejected into the cold void of space. There was no glory in this battle, only survival. The Predator fleet, once a symbol of dominance, now teetered on the brink of destruction. For the first time, the commander felt something foreign to him: fear. The Predator fleet, once the scourge of the galaxy, found itself in a desperate retreat. The battlefield that had been their playground now became a trap they couldn't escape. Human ships pressed forward with calculated precision, picking off Predator vessels one by one. What had begun as a show of dominance for the Predators had transformed into a humiliating defeat. The Predator commander, still reeling from the chaos, made the difficult decision. Continuing the fight meant certain destruction. His fleet, once unmatched, had been outmaneuvered and outsmarted by a species he had deemed insignificant. With a growl of frustration, he gave the order to retreat. The once proud armada that had terrorized countless civilizations now limped away into the void. Human forces stood victorious, their ships and soldiers largely unscathed, a testament to their strategy and discipline. They hadn't won through brute strength, but through ingenuity and determination. As the Predator ships vanished into the darkness, the reign of fear they had maintained for generations began to crumble. Humanity had triumphed where so many others had failed. The galaxy was quick to take notice. Word of the Predator's defeat spread faster than light. In distant systems, where species once cowered under the threat of the Predator fleet, whispers of hope began to emerge. The humans, once an afterthought in galactic affairs, were now a force to be reckoned with. Species that had been oppressed or lived in fear of the Predators now looked to humanity not as prey, but as potential protectors. Some reached out in hopes of forging alliances, eager to stand beside the force that had broken the Predator's grip on power. Diplomats and emissaries scrambled to open communications with human leaders, aware that a new power had risen. Others watched from the shadows, reassessing their opinions of humanity. Races that had once scorned humans for their relative weakness now hesitated. They had underestimated humanity, and it had cost them nothing for now. But if humans could take down the predators, what might they do to those who opposed them? Fear of humanity began to spread, not born of terror, but from the realization that these seemingly fragile creatures were far more capable and dangerous than anyone had imagined. Their adaptability and resourcefulness had shattered assumptions and rewritten the balance of power in the galaxy. In the Predator fleet, the retreat was quiet, but the sense of defeat was palpable. The commander, once so certain of his supremacy, stared at the void before him. His mind replayed the battle, the sudden reversals, the human strikes that had been so precise and unrelenting. This wasn't a fluke. The humans had studied them, understood their tactics, and outwitted them at every turn. He could no longer deny what was painfully clear. Humans were not just another weak species to dominate. They were strategic, adaptable, and, worst of all, capable of learning from the mistakes of others. It was a quality that few in the galaxy possessed, and it made them infinitely more dangerous. The commander felt a chill he hadn't experienced in years: fear. For so long, the predators had ruled through terror, knowing that no one could match their power. But now, humanity had proven them wrong. He realized with bitter clarity that their reign of fear was coming to an end. The galaxy would no longer tremble at the sight of their fleet. And what would replace that fear? Humans, with their unexpected strength and their refusal to bend, had shattered the illusion of predator invincibility. The commander clenched his fists, knowing that his empire would never be the same. Back on Earth and across human colonies, there was no grand celebration. Humanity had faced down a galactic menace and emerged victorious, but they understood what this victory meant. This was just the beginning. They had stepped onto the galactic stage not as victims or survivors, but as equals, perhaps even as a new dominant force. The quiet hum of realization settled in. They had fought not just to survive, but to send a message. Humanity was here to stay, and they would not be crushed underfoot by those who sought to oppress them. Their strength lay not in the size of their fleets or the power of their weapons, but in their ability to adapt and fight in ways their enemies never expected. It was this ingenuity that had carried them through the darkest moments and would continue to do so as they faced whatever came next. The predators had been the first, but they would not be the last. The galaxy now knew what humanity was capable of. As the predator fleet retreated into the far reaches of space, the balance of power shifted. Humanity stood ascendant, marking the dawn of a new era. No longer prey, no longer overlooked, they had carved their place among the stars, and the galaxy would never forget what had happened here. The predators had been broken, and in their place, humanity had risen, a force that no one could ignore. The future was uncertain, but one thing was clear: humanity was no longer a species to be trifled with. A new chapter in galactic history had begun, and at its centre stood a species that had proven time and time again that they could defy the odds and come out on top. Humanity's ascendance was undeniable, and their place among the stars was now secure.